John C. Calhoun, if you secede from my nation, I will secede your head from the rest of your body. Andrew Jackson. I'll get into the authenticity of this quote later on, but let me give you some context. This is all about the nullification crisis of the 1828 through the 1833. This is a fight between federal rights versus states' rights, all regarding tariffs. So let me give you some background. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. What are the pros and cons of tariffs? So let's say we're using a free market model. I'm even going to use the European Union, one of the issues they're having right now. You have France and you have Albania. France has a higher cost of living. Farmers there make more money. Let's say you're a dairy farmer in France. You're going to produce milk that costs, say, $3 a gallon. Now, the cost of a same dairy farmer in Albania is going to be like $1.50, which means you go to the store, you're going to see the French milk and you're going to see the Albanian milk, and you'll be like, I'm going to buy the Albanian milk because it's cheaper. So what tariffs do is they protect your own industry. You make a tax on the goods coming in so it matches the same price of your own product. In other words, more incentive to buy American. Cons, two big cons. One, the price of that good is going to go up. That means everyone has to buy that upper level cost, which is why the South got so pissed. And of course, the other con is retaliatory tariffs. The other country is going to put a tariff on your goods. So what's going on with John C. Calhoun in South Carolina? Southern economy was based off of raw material, indigo, rice, tobacco, and of course, cotton. They would sell their goods to England. England would then produce goods and then sell it back to the United States. Now, in the northern portion of the United States, we have industry that are making our own goods. Unfortunately, production is more expensive, so therefore the American goods are more expensive than the British goods. So in 1828, John Quincy Adams signs the Tariff Act, which pisses off this scary dude, John C. Calhoun. Homeboy is definitely a states' right type of guy. So Calhoun argues that the South is getting screwed over by the North because the tariffs don't help the South, they only help the North. The South has to pay more for goods. Where? Calhoun argues in the expedition protest that the federal government is not allowed to favor one state over another. And if that happens, that law is unconstitutional. And he declares that that state no longer has to follow that law, and that's null and void. Now, Calhoun was under the impression that Jackson would back him up because he's a Southern gentleman like himself. Jackson does not. So by 1832, South Carolina passes an ordinance of nullification, meaning they could do whatever they want. Yeah, there's this thing in the Constitution called the Supremacy Clause, and that don't work. So Jackson's furious, and he makes the proclamation Nullification Ordinance, where he argues the constitutionality of tariffs, and if states resist this, military force will be used. He ain't playing. In the same year, we get the Force Act, where it gets the military together to invade South Carolina if they choose to secede. So let me read the quote again. John Calhoun, if you secede from my nation, I will secede your head from the rest of your body. Now, there's some interesting stuff here. First off, John C. Calhoun was Andrew Jackson's vice president, so he resigns. Second, there actually is not a source for this quote. We don't know if Jackson ever said it. Using the context from this video, does it sound like something he would say? Yes, but this is how Andrew Jackson prevented a civil war early on.